Have you ever been to a local game store during a Pioneer night? Well, JJ and I just did, and I want to share my experience with you. Maybe you haven't, maybe you're nervous, maybe you just haven't even thought about going to test your deck at a local game store. I know I was nervous my first time just walking into a game store, not knowing what to expect. So let me share with you kind of our experience. JJ and I, for the first time in a long time, made it to our local game store for a Pioneer night. This video is going to be kind of a tournament report and kind of showing you guys what the LGS experience is like. So let's take a look at some of our initial thoughts about what was going to happen.
We came to Wednesday Night Pioneer here at our local game store. Shout out to TC Rockets.
TC Rockets, thank you for letting us film.
And what are you playing tonight, and what are your thoughts going in?
Okay, this is the first time I've been out in the
wild.
Yeah, for a while. So I'm going with Gruul Aggro. It's a nice, easy kind of competitive deck. Not hard to play, but it's fast and furious. And my wife wants me home before 10, so perfect. I can just kill everyone before 10 and go home. What about you? What are you playing?
So I decided to go on the wild side. I've been messing around with this Nib to Light deck, and I decided, you know what, screw it. The only way to learn it is to play it. And no way to do it than when you're under a time pressure.
We're going to do it live.
Yeah, so we're going to do it not live.
Yeah.
I feel like Nib to Light is a play style that I am going to like because I actually think it's similar to Amalia.
Yeah.
There are a lot of redundancies. There are a lot of nuanced lines, a lot of answers. And I think it's going to test my timing. It's going to test my patience because normally I go aggro all the way. And this is a mid-range leaning on control Yorion, like 80 card pile. I feel like I'm
so what's your
Commander.
feared matchup? What do you think?
You, honestly.
Yeah. Like I
Gruul
can beat you to
aggro.
the punch. Yeah.
Yeah, because you can go under me. And now I think against most matchups, I have inevitability. Like, if I can untap on turn 4, turn 5, I think I can just pop off. I think. Allegedly. We'll see. I don't know. Sylvan, I'm relying heavily on Sylvan Caryatid. I think it's the best card in the deck.
Yeah.
Everything else outside of that, I can't really vouch for. But I have a lot of foil cards in here, so I'm excited.
That's good. At least you'll be like, people will be impressed with the deck that you laid out. Mine is just leftover cards that have like soda rings on them that I use as coasters.
So ACVMTG is all about going from Timmy to Spike.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is something that we would have done whether or not we have a camera with us or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is the value to you coming out to Wednesday Night Pioneer at an LGS?
Practicing against each other, we have certain personality, play styles. So we kind of grown accustomed to how the other person's going to react to our plays.
Yeah.
When they're going to hold up, when they're going to advance. When you put yourself up against people that you may or may not have played before, you get exposed to those other play styles, those other thought processes, things that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
And that out of left field move or that deck that you didn't see coming.
Yeah.
And that's just more data for us to build our strategies off of.
So what's your prediction for today? What is your record going to be? 3 rounds.
3 rounds. I think I will end up. I feel like people are going to be prepared for my aggro deck.
It's the new hotness.
Is it new? Okay.
Yeah, it's the new hotness.
I think I'm going to end up in the top 3.
You think so? Top 3.
I'm gonna make the call top 3.
Okay.
Because this is like simplicity, very simple, and it's a very aggressive version of that deck as well. Mm-hmm. This is more of a heroic Gruul, so meaning I'll be casting like audacities and monstrous monstrous rages on my prowess creatures that have haste and kicking.
Who is going to rank higher, you or me?
Honestly, I think I will because you haven't ever played that before.
No.
So if you add in the mistakes that you're going to make, the punts, because we will, well, I'll make punts with this one because I haven't really played this version of it before. So, but with that, it's very you have to be. This is like a graduate level deck where you have to think about what you're going to go get and when you're going to do that thing. So yeah, I think uh, you'll learn a lot playing tonight, but I think you're going to end up middle of the pack. You do have inevitability, so if they don't kill you, and you're going to use the early game to like decisively take over the game, and really it all come down to when that mid game comes, where you're vulnerable for a few turns. What happens there? So I think you're going to end up middle of the pack with it.
What's one thing that you want to take out of tonight, whether it's something to improve on or something to learn specifically about your deck?
Vulnerabilities to the like things that I know temporary lockdown rule, but I have answers for it in the deck installed already. So I really want to know where the big liabilities are, besides the things I can't answer. So really, we can talk about what the meta is and all the cards in that meta.
Yeah.
But we can't talk about the things that aren't being discussed in there. Like those out of left field cards that like you love those. Like you put those things that nobody sees coming in the deck. And when we play, I'm like, it makes me like, really?
The personality picks.
Yeah.
Which we talked about in the teching on the whiteboard series part 1. I'd say for me, the one thing I'm looking to do tonight is not get a draw.
Yeah.
Like my goal is to not run out of time.
Just to play.
So I'm looking for myself to play at a good pace, to understand the fundamentals, because I think what this deck is going to do is really test my fundamentals of Magic, right? Do I understand how and when to turn the corner in a game? And can I foil the opponent's strategy well enough to where either I'm going to get out aggroed early and there's nothing I can do about it, or I'm going to be able to turn the corner and win in a timely manner. So either or. I just don't want to get any draws today. Yeah, I'm not expecting a whole lot, but
I think you're going to do well with this, and I hope you don't make any mistakes. I hope you feel confident at the end of it.
In a beautiful world, maybe.
Yeah. I picked the total just like training wheels deck. Like I'm just gonna.
Well, it's also worth mentioning. This is your first time back in a tournament environment in how long?
You were here last time I was here. It must have
months.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Like last Pioneer season.
Yeah.
Wow.
What was the last thing we played? Was it DreamHack we played?
Oh, I guess no. That was last summer.
It might have been that long though.
No,
we were ramping up to get there.
We played at Comic-Con.
Oh yeah.
I think it was in the fall sometime.
Yeah.
And we're filming this in what, May?
Yeah. So it's been a minute.
Yeah, a hot segundo. So all right. We'll wrap it up at the end of the tournament, hopefully, if we're not crying.
Yeah.
Walking into even a weekly tournament, like walking into any tournament, brings a lot of uncertainty. And sometimes things don't happen the way that you plan them to, and that's okay. Let's take a look at what JJ thought about his results at the end of the day.
All right, so here's my post-game analysis of Wednesday night gaming at TC Rockets. Walked in there with Gruul Aggro. Very excited, had high hopes. I thought it would be a good matchup for the meta, and it was. I hit a different deck every single time I played, so nice variety. Game 1, I played against an experimental deck. It was a CEDH player who had adapted a 96 card deck, so really they didn't really have a win condition or one that could match the speed of the meta. So that was a quick what you would expect a Gruul aggro deck to do. Just really by turn 3 on both games, it was over. And then game 2, I was up against Gruul vehicles. It was really cool to see Gruul vehicles again. And so I went 2-1. The one I lost, they got Helena and Alina partners out pretty fast with a Reckless Stormseeker. built a, got their battlefield out and their board state up a lot faster than I did. So I kind of had this stunted growth to my battlefield. So they were able to put up blockers. I couldn't really execute the strategy of a Gruul aggro deck with all those blockers up, and they were stomping my small creatures as soon as they were coming out. So they had a really good turn 1, 2, and 3, which stunted my 1, 2, and 3. And it was really nice to see Gruul vehicles do that. But I did the Gruul aggro thing for 2 of the games. It was very fast. I feel like this Gruul aggro deck, when it executes, it is vicious, and if they slow you down in any way, you lose momentum and the game just stunts. And you'll see that in game 3, where I played Insole Artifact. I love Insole Artifact. It's gonna be a deck that I'm going to play quite a bit, and so I went 1 and 2. This is where I started my losing trend. So Insole Artifact came out. There was some potential in the game. The one game I won, I did the turn 1, 2, 3. It was overwhelming power and board state. They had kind of a stunted board state, and then the games they won, they did one game, I'd call it, they had the perfect turn 1 through 3, where it was just they had answers for the things I was putting down. They were building up their artifact creatures and sending them over my head, and it was beautiful to watch, because like I said, I'm a fan of that deck. And the last game we went back and forth a little bit, but in the end they have inevitability because they have the long game, and my deck really relies on having a nice hand full of cards. Unfortunately, the last game I lost, I kept one creature and then a bunch of the combat tricks that buff up that one creature, and they torched the one creature the minute it came out, and I stood there like an idiot, realizing, oh, I guess Gruul aggro needs creatures to go aggro. So awkward, but yeah, it was a nice experience. And then game 4 was the mirror match. Okay, I was playing a friend of mine, and Gruul aggro versus Gruul aggro, and experience really paid off. And you could tell the other person had the experience in the mirror match, because when they went to sideboard, they pulled in things that answered everything I was trying to do. They had combat tricks, they had protection, they were pulling out things that really turned the tide in those last games. But as you would expect, game 1, they were on the play, and they stormed they stormed like Gruul aggro was supposed to. And then on the second game, I was on the play, and I stormed right back. And then game 3, they were back on the play, but I felt like I had a nice hefty hand. But there were combat tricks, just like they had added more blossoming defenses. They added more things that they would, and you know what? They actually, I wouldn't say just the things they added, the way they played it. So my opponent was just smarter about. They held up protections and waited for their moments. The experience really came out in that game, and so I learned a lot by watching what they were doing. But that's it. That's my game. So I ended up 2 and 2, which isn't bad for being back in. Nowhere near where I predicted, but the Gruul aggro deck I predicted that with the deck I would come in third. The Gruul aggro deck that beat me came in third. So if I was a better player, probably up there as well. But yeah, that's it. So that was my TC Rockets Wednesday Night Magic, and back to Navigator in the in the newsroom or whatever.
As you probably heard in our pre-game thoughts interview live in the game store, I was playing Niv Mizzet for the first time, and I was so nervous because that is a monster of a deck. But I ended up top 8ing out of a 30-something person Pioneer tournament night. And I was super happy with that. My record was 2-1-1, so I didn't not meet my one goal of not drawing that night, but that's okay. That's okay because I learned that there was a lot of shuffling going on in Niv Mizzet. If there are any of you guys that are interested in the Niv Mizzet Bring to Light archetype, I will say some of the overperforming cards were Pillage the Bog, which is brand new to us, and Lightning Helix. Some of the underperforming cards actually included my control side stuff, which were primarily No More Lines. And I think that's just because I didn't have matchups that warranted it. So I faced game 1, let me see here, Orzhov Humans. And as expected, the fast go wide aggro, especially Humans, which taxes control decks and mid-range decks very well. They got under me both game 1 and game 2, and they took it pretty handily. My second round opponent was on a homebrew, and again, kind of newer to Pioneer. So we just focused on having a good time, and I was helping him make more optimum plays, but at the end of the day, I won that one. Game 3, I would say, was my first real test, and that was against Rakdos Vampires. Very proficient player. I lost game 1 on the draw, won game 2 on the play, pretty amazingly. I had this incredible line. My back was against the wall. I played an Omnath. I hadn't played my land for a turn yet. Omnath, Locus of Creation. If you're not familiar with the card, it lets me draw a card as an enter the battlefield effect. So I drew a card. I drew a Fabled Passage, which I can crack and go get another land that'll come in untapped. And so I got 2 Locus of Creation triggers, giving me life gain, giving me mana, allowing me to hard cast a Tibalt Planeswalker, and I just ran away with the game. So that was probably the game of the night for me. That was game 2. And then game 3, I think I probably would have won if we kept going, but we went to turns and ended in a draw. Overall, I was really happy with that matchup just because, I learned the grind, I learned the flow and the mechanics and the answers that I had in that deck for, one of the most popular decks in the Pioneer metagame. My last game was so I went in 1-1-1 into round 4, and it was against Is It Phoenix, another Pioneer staple deck, but it was almost a non-issue for Niv Mizzet Bring to Light, because I found that there were so many incidental ways to just exile opponent's creatures. So those are my thoughts on this last tournament and the takeaway. So let's just take a look at inside the game store. Again, I want to thank TC Rockets out here in San Diego, California, for hosting us, letting us film. And if you guys found any value in this content, just all I could ask, I appreciate you watching even this far, is liking, subscribing, sharing with your friends. I'd be happy to talk more in depth about the tournament. In fact, I'll write it up and post a little tournament report below for you. So thanks so much, guys, and we'll talk soon.